The only vessel that cannot be recreated is the Ark of the Covenant. He found in Qumran a cave that contains 900 kilos. And right now, as we speak, it's being sent to different laboratories around the world. This will be a big breakthrough.
Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Aron Sokol, and you're watching Parsha Inspired. Today, I'm joined by I think, redemption expediter, somebody who's on the front line, who's involved with the Third Temple rebuilding. So, Josh, maybe you could tell our listeners, has the rebuilding of the Third Temple started?
I would say absolutely, but it isn't like you just hire a contractor to come and put up a foundation and build you a building. There's a lot more complications, both spiritual, halachic, legal issues.
Well,
So
yeah,
there are a lot of different projects that are going on simultaneously today that are all related to building the third temple. It's pretty clear that in the past 80 years, and more specifically in the past 59 years, where we've had the Temple Mount in our hands, that has jump-started the whole process of restarting the service, the temple service. And again, the temple service does not require, in its initial stages, to have a construction of the building, and it doesn't require the red heifers either. So everything we need is we have. Again, there are different steps and different stages to it. Most people, again, in the world think that we need to discover lost vessels that are hidden in the ground or in Rome or Ethiopia or some other place in the world. That is not the case. For the most part, we can reconstruct, and we have reconstructed all of the vessels necessary for temple service. The only thing necessary for the temple service as far as construction is the altar, the Mizbeach, that we have also prepared. In addition to that, and there's another project that just started recently, preparing more stones for that for the altar. Those stones are more complicated than the exterior of the temple, which the stones for that also have been started, but those are less stringent as far as the preparations. And yes, everything is on its way. We hope that we expect that the third temple will be greater than the first two, and it will have a completion of everything. But the vessels that we have made, and they're ready to go. There's only the only vessel that cannot be recreated is the Ark of the Covenant, because the Ark of the Covenant contains something that's very unique, and that is the Luchot HaBrit, the original tablets that were brought down on Mount Sinai by Moses, and therefore there's no way of replicating that. That was hidden 30 years before the destruction of the first temple, and it's remained hidden. It wasn't in the second temple at all in its proper place, and it's been remained hidden in the entire time. So that's the only thing that can't be replaced. Everything else can and has been replaced. Again, there are controversies as to what things looked like, but everything is intact. The stones for the outer structure of the temple are less stringent. I'm not aware of anything anywhere that says that it has to be here from the land of Israel, but we are creating local stones here in the land of Israel in an undisclosed location in Upper Samaria, and those stones are being created according to rabbinic oversight, and they're being created. They're being done only by Jewish hands, and they're being done in a special way. But those are less problematic, and many people confuse, even religious Jews confuse the fact that with that and the altar, that the stones cannot be made. They can't be hewed from iron, from iron tools, and that is specifically talking about the altar, not the stones of the temple outer temple construction. So back in the day, there was a miraculous worm that called the shamir worm, and this worm was able to eat through stone, and they used that worm in order to create the stones for the altar. Today, we no longer need that, although there are rumors that that has also been found. We no longer need it. It's definitely not the most efficient way of cutting stone. Today, we have lots of ways of cutting stone without using iron, including a high
Water.
pressure water and lasers, and there are many ways of cutting stone.
So what's still missing? What are we still missing? Uh,
It's not clear that there are rabbinic opinions that the ark may not be present in the third temple like it wasn't in the second temple. That's not a prerequisite. That is not what we're missing. Again, all of the service can be done, and it was done for hundreds of years in the second temple without the ark being in its proper place in the Holy of Holies. What are we missing? To start the process, we're not missing anything. I was asked recently on a podcast, what is holding us back? I kept going, mentioning different projects and saying that this isn't holding us back, and that's not holding us back. And the host of the show stopped me and said, "Well, what is holding us back?" And that led to a conversation in which we basically said that what the only thing that's holding us back is ourselves, our own minds. And I gave the example of not so long ago we had the Torah portion discussing the sins of the spies, and when 10 of the spies came back to with a bad report about the land, so they said that we are like grasshoppers in their eyes. And all of the commentators asked the question: how would they know how perceived by by their enemies? You know, it's easy to say that we felt like we were grasshoppers because we were so small compared to these giants, but how would we know how they saw us in their eyes? And that's exactly the point. When we lack the national self esteem to say that we're ready to go, that we don't want another Tisha B'Av, that we're not interested in having another m- period of mourning like we've done for thousands of years, that we're ready to move to the next stage in Jewish history. Then, and again, we need to start. I think it's going to be grassroots pressuring the leadership, whether that leadership be rabbinic or whether it be political or both. We need to start pressuring them that things should and have to change. We have, I think, a very unique situation in the political setup today in Israel, where you have many people that are within the government that are extremely supportive of the ideas that we're bringing up, probably for the first time ever that I know of. You have supporters of Jewish prayer
you're referring
and
to Moshe
building a
Feiglin,
synagogue.
right? Moshe Feiglin.
I was not referring to Moshe Feiglin; he's not in the government now. But Moshe Feiglin is a candidate that is definitely supportive. I'm saying in the government now, you have people like the minister Eliyahu, and you have Sukkot and Tzvi Sukkot, and you have Oed Tal, and you have Ben Gvir, and I mean, the names go on and on.
So
You have so many of them
a
today.
coalition of like-minded Jews who are in the Knesset who would be um, they wouldn't be an obstacle if there was an agreement among Jews for whatever reason. If the Jewish rabbinical and secular Jews got together and they said, okay, yeah, we want to do this. This is a great idea. Then what would be the biggest obstacle? You're saying from a political point of view, that was one thing that you mentioned, that there needs to be a political movement, but also the political movement comes from the people. I mean, this is somewhat of a democracy. We need to have people's willingness.
That political will is key because politicians generally don't act unless they're pressured to do so. Until they feel that their constituents, this is what their constituents want, they have no interest in doing things against the will of the people. But unfortunately, there isn't a political will amongst the nation. Many of us, even amongst religious Jews, are still have this. I'm going to use the word conceptia, but that is not the case. And I think as more and more projects become more pronounced and more real and more known to the world, so people start to realize that, you know, why can't we do it? What's stopping us? If we have everything in place and we're ready to go, then really what is stopping us besides our own selves?
There would be still a people there would be people who saying no, we shouldn't start. It's going to happen. I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime. It could be it'll happen next week. I hope. But I'm saying, from the process, the way things are going, it's going much quicker and much quicker. We're getting ready to everything. But like, if permission was granted, let's say there was a political decision that we've decided to allow, for whatever reason, whatever scenario, we will allow the building. There will be no obstacle of government. And then what obstacle will there be?
So I'm going to say something that's a little bit controversial. I think that the opposition will be greater from rabbinic circles than it will be from the Arabs.
Wow.
The Arabs, it's interesting. I don't remember if I mentioned this on your show before, but it's interesting that when the U.S. embassy was moved to Jerusalem, everyone was screaming beforehand that this is going to ignite World War III. This is going to create violence in the street. There's going to be bloodshed shed across the Middle East. And as we were driving on the bus to the new embassy location, we drove around the Damascus Gate, Shar Shem, and I witnessed hundreds of foreign journalists on the stairs of the Damascus Gate, basically begging the Arabs to do something to justify these foreign journalists coming thousands of miles to Israel. Not a peep. There wasn't a word. All the hype and everything that this is going to cause bloodshed, World War III is going to break out. Nothing, absolutely nothing happened. The same thing is when it comes to Jews going to the Temple Mount. Jews are going to go to the Temple Mount. It's going to cause who knows what. If they're going to be able to open their mouths and pray, what's going to happen? If they bow down and prostrate themselves, who knows what could this could lead to. The exact opposite, interestingly enough, has happened. That prior to Jews acting Jewish on the Temple Mount, the Arabs were very, very belligerent. They would come and they would scream. They would send their demonstrators, Allahu Akbar. They'd be screaming at you and they'd be in your face as you were walking on the Temple Mount. And today, as soon as we started to do what Jews are supposed to do, and we started to pray and we started to do our priestly blessings and we started to prostrate ourselves, all of a sudden the Arabs disappear. You almost don't see an Arab on the Temple Mount when the Jewish groups are up there. So it's amazing to see that the Arabs, I don't think, are the issue. Our rabbinic leadership is definitely going to be a serious challenge, and I think that's going to take again. I think the pressure is going to come from grassroots, from Jews, good Jews, asking their rabbis and their leaders, why can't we do this? Let's start learning these topics, these sugyot, and let's start figuring out how we can. Let's not just assume that it's going to happen sometime in the future by in the age of
I
our
love that. I love that.
grandchildren, but that
Like,
we want to know now how we could do it. Find us a way to do this.
that's
And
really
soon
this
as
generation. Yeah.
and it is this generation, absolutely this generation. And I
It
think
is.
that October 7th and everything that's going on is actually refining and I'm not even talking about religious Jews now. Within the general public in Israel, Jews in general are more ready, I think, than ever for a Beit HaMikdash, for a temple. I think that the war and the existential threats that have happened to the Jewish people have refined them to the point where more and more people every day are ready for a temple, for God's presence to come back to where it's supposed to be.
So there's a few things you mentioned I want to respond to. First was the grasshoppers that the spies came in. They said, "Oh, they looked down on us. They thought we were little." Actually, what happened when Joshua came to Rachav in Jericho, she actually says to him, "We heard what happened by the Exodus, and we were all really scared of you guys." And she says that to him straight away. So that's quite obvious. The second thing I thought of was you mentioned Jews going up on the Temple Mount, and when they finally did it, or when they finally moved the embassy. So this actually, I thought of the verse in Ezekiel where in 36 he says, "Am Hashem elu me'artso yisto," that the Gentiles look at the Jews, and if they're not in the land and they're not taking ownership of the land, they call them God's exiled Jews, and that's kind of like a reality that I think you touched on. And the last thing that you mentioned about the rabbinic opposition to it. The grassroots. One of the last curses of the Mishnah and Sanhedrin says that chutzpah yazin and the people will not be looking to their leaders. I mean, there's a lot of youth today that are looking for spirituality, that are looking, even the grassroots of the settlements, not the reclaiming or the redeeming of the lands of Judea that are happening by grassroots people, just getting down, getting dirty, doing the work, being involved, making an action, and not waiting for, not following just what everybody's doing. And that kind of answers what would happen if permission was given. There would be enough people who have already made a difference that at that point, hopefully, would be able to be expedited.
K'pnei hakelev is one of the things that it's going to happen in the days of Mashiach. The generation is going to be like that of a face of a dog. And it's explained, the commentators explain that what that means is that just like when someone's walking their dog, so the leaders behind them, the leaders are the ones that are behind the dog, but the dog keeps looking back to see what's that the owner is still there. Listen, we're in a generation where I think the leadership is confused. I think that in many ways the people are ready, and we need to start pushing more on our leadership to start moving, because it is more practical than ever. We're more ready than ever, and like I said, there is no reason why we shouldn't be celebrating, commemorating Tisha B'av, the 9th of Av, and mourning this year. It should be a day of celebration this year. We just have to have the will to do it, and it'll happen.
Okay, so one last question, or maybe last two questions. We have time for two questions? Okay. What don't people know that is happening right now? What do you think things that are happening right now regarding the Third Temple and the Temple Mount that people don't know?
Within a few months, my book will be out, and you will have the answers to all
Oh,
those
okay.
questions.
This I didn't know.
Um,
Oh, Mazel Tov. Is that the one that
practical geula, a step-by-step guide to the final redemption, and it has in it examples of dozens and dozens and dozens of different projects that are going on uh, all over Israel, all over the world, that are geula, that are redemption related, and it tells about the different projects, and answers all the, because it's not something you can go through on one podcast. Tells people how to support them if they want to support them, but that's coming up, so hopefully that'll
what's the
be
name
an
of the
eye
book?
opener. Practical geula.
Okay, we'll leave a link in the description so I
It's
guess you
not,
could
no links yet for it because it hasn't been published yet,
I'll
but
leave it to
it will.
your
It'll
site
be on the
and
Substack.
on the
On the
Substack.
Substack. Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Um,
But maybe give us like a little taste of what's in the book, just something, so people will know what, or you're not uncovering anything
no,
yet.
no, there is a book coming out today, by a very close friend of mine, and it deals with the ketores, with the incense in the temple. Unbeknownst to many people, many years, not several decades ago already, someone named by the name of Wendell Jones, who was a Noahide, he he was an archaeologist, and he was searching here in Israel, and he found in Qumran a cave that contains 900 kilos of what he believed were the ingredients for the ketoret, for the incense, and that has been turned into a book. By the way, Wendell Jones is what Indiana Jones, the movie, is based on this real life character. That is a book that's coming out today. It's going to deal with it, and each one of these projects is a book in itself. My book is just giving like an umbrella overview, a 30,000 foot overview of what these projects are about. But the actual projects themselves, there are people that study for years and years and years in order to go through the different topics of each of these projects. And when it comes to the incense, it seems that right now, they're being sent to different laboratories around the world. in order to properly. And again, this is something that can only be done in this generation. There's certain technological things we mentioned before, the fact that we have plastic and the fact that we are able to cut stone without iron. There are many things that are done today that we couldn't have done a decade ago. I mean, there's technologies existing today, and it's clear to me that this is all part of this redemption process where God is bringing this knowledge to the world in order to move forward this process, because we need to have these things. So there are laboratories today that are able to do things that we weren't able to do even a decade ago, even several couple of years ago. And right now, as we speak, these incense remnants of these incense are being tested in these laboratories. And this will be a big breakthrough. Through, like I said, the book is just coming out today. Hopefully, it'll be. I don't know if it'll be on Amazon yet, but it'll be out there starting today. And that's just one project, one of many that people probably are not aware of.
Final question was, what should Jews be doing right now?
So let's start with what they shouldn't be doing. The when we got to the Yam Suf, we got to the Red Sea, and Moses is praying to God. What should we do? What should we do? And his reply is "Al titzak alai," right? It's stop praying. It's time to start moving. There's a time that for prayer, and I think that time for prayer was pretty much for most of our exile. When we were in exile, we were living in a shtetl somewhere, a ghetto somewhere in Europe. What else could be expected of a Jew but to open up a book of Psalms and to pray? What else could a Jew do? Today, there are many, many practical things that a person can do in order to move forward the redemptive process. Clearly, the above and beyond all of the projects are for Jews to come home, the ingathering of the exile, because it's only here that the Torah it completely applies. Almost one third of the Torah's commandments do not apply outside the land of Israel, according to some opinions. None of them apply outside the land of Israel. They're just done for practice. Jews have to come home, right? If Mamdani can't convince them, they should understand that it's time for positive reasons to come home.
And let's be
And
honest, there's free land in Judea, pretty much free land. You can come there, bring your wood on a container, and build your house, pretty much. No, is that right?
not legally,
Not
but there are
legally,
Jews that are doing that.
but why? Well, it's rebuilding the land. I don't think they're criminals.
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying that I have good friends that are there. I'm just saying that if I don't want to misrepresent and tell people they should just come
we
here and
don't want to be
start
clipped by
build.
Tucker Carlson. Okay.
No, I actually don't want to be arrested by the Israeli police, but yeah, I don't think we can say
Yes,
that
sir.
criminal activity is something that's condoned. But there are definitely Jews that are doing that. It
But
is
we could protest that
admirable.
it's criminal for a Jew to rebuild his homeland, and the law is being
Absolutely.
made by Jews. I can protest that. So
I have people. I have people all the time asking me the question, you want all the Jews to come out, where are you going to put them? Right? There's not enough room. We see what's going on, how densely populated it is in Ramat Eshkol and Sharei Chesed and Bnei Brak, and where are we going to move to?
go
And I
next
said,
to Michal Weichbrod. Go next to Michal.
exactly. Clearly, you haven't toured much in the land of Israel, because if you've gone through Judea and Samaria, forget the extended borders that now are extending for the first time, by the way, in our thousands of years of exile. We have 10 out of 12 of our tribal lands. I mean, we're in Lebanon, we're in Syria. We need to take off a little bit more, but we are slowly but surely getting back to all of our ancestral tribal lands. And soon we hope that all the tribes will be back in their proper tribal lands.
Amen. Thank you so much. This is so interesting. I think we could do like 10 more of these, but I'm going to put a link to your Substack, and people will be able to get in touch with you if they have questions or they want to make donations for this work. There's so much. If anything you're interested, you'll be able to find. If you're interested in tchelis, if you're interested in building stones, if you want to donate wood, if you want to help with the Geula Center, if you want to help with the growth of the community on Mount of Olives, you can check out Rabbi Josh Wander's site, Rabbi
Can I
Wander.
just say one more
Yes,
thing?
yes.
That I think that, and I said this for many, many years about Aliyah and what we do to encourage Jews coming home, that there are many, many organizations out there that deal with the how you should do things, right? Nefesh B'Nefesh and has the exclusive contract in North America. If you want to make Aliyah, if you're Jewish, you want to make Aliyah, you call up Nefesh B'Nefesh and they'll start the process. They'll work you through all the bureaucracy. But there are very few organizations out there like mine, Bring Them Home, that deals with why you should be making Aliyah, right? And until you get past the why stage, you're never going to get to the how stage, right? Until you know why you should be making Aliyah, you're not going to be picking up the phone to call Nefesh B'Nefesh. I think it's the same thing with all of these Geula projects. No one's, you were talking about, how to get involved in different projects that involve the redemption. But until people educate themselves to understand why they should be doing this, and understand they're capable of doing this is practical, they're never going to get to the how stage of there's two different aspects here. One is educational and understanding that it's practical today and why they should be getting involved in it, and the second is the how stage of the different projects that are going on and how to support them. So they're both very important. Hopefully again it'll all be in the upcoming book.
Thank you so much. The heartbeat of the Jewish people is for sure in Jerusalem. The Jews have returned. Jerusalem has been rebuilt. Torah has returned to the land. The land has given forth its fruit. Thank you so much. We are witnessing this prophecy unfolding. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure for you as well, this is your life's work. So I thank you so much for doing this.
Everyone should be a redemption expediter, not just Rabbi
You're not
Josh
the only
Wander.
expediter.